Good morning, everyone. I'm Jenny. Thanks for tuning in. Make sure you subscribe to my channel. Please hit that subscribe button in order to get content on my videos. So now today's video, I'm going to be doing some predictions for 2026. You can even watch my last year's video. I normally put them out in December because a lot of my predictions has happened and it's still going on even now for 2025. So let's just cut to the chase and get right into this because there's a lot of information to cover. You know, a lot of people are really concerned. Oh my gosh, 2026. Oh my gosh, what's going to happen? You know, the first thing we have to do is let fear go. Yes, it's changing. There's more changes now than there has been in over 10,000 years. I've been talking about that for quite some time. We are seeing that the markets are not stable. That is going to happen even more. There's going to be some fluctuations with the currency, especially in the US, where there's going to be more strong demand coming from Asia and the Middle East. So, for those of you, just be really careful with the stock markets because it's going to start to pick up in June, where Octoberish, you're going to have more returns coming through for you. So just be really, really careful because there's a lot of Ponzi schemes going on. You know, there's so much going on. You know, the bottom line is whenever you're investing, make sure that whatever amount it is you're investing, that you're prepared to lose it. I'm not saying you're going to lose it. However, just don't put your entire life savings into that because there's so many things crazy out there. You know, there's going to be more border tension going on. There's going to be more budgets, more in the military, you know, and they're going to be making more of defense, more of a priority in the US because there's going to be more and more political unrest. You know, we've all seen these World War IIIs coming here, coming there, a lot of talk for that. However, there's going to be some peace coming in as well. You know, certain things are going to start calming down. You might even see that, you know, the Ukraine and Russia and all of that, that's going to get more balanced out as well. So there's going to be more global space exploration going on. You know, like everything's really exploded with AI. You know, I've been learning more about AI here, and there because it's something we need to know. However, you know, there's always the positives and the negatives. So there very well is going to be like more job losses, you know, like cashiers, you know, like call-in centers. I mean, I hate calling in, hit this button, hit that button, and so on. I hate that. I personally would rather talk to a human being, but as we have seen for a while, that has not happened. We're seeing that change going on and on and on. You know, AI is really going to be taking over. So you're going to find that even more like the traditional media, that's going to be collapsing. Jobs are going to be lost for that. Depends what you're doing. Broadcasting, it's going to be more AI now. So do you see my concerns with this? Like you will literally see, especially the last half of the year, that how much the world has truly, truly changed. You know, we are moving into the year of the fire horse. I mean, I'm a fire horse myself. So, what happens when we have the energy of a fire horse? Oh my gosh, fire horses like to run. There's a lot of fast movement. 2026 is going to be very fast. So look back on 2025. What were you guys working on? Because 2026, you're going to start laying your ground. Because when you get to 2027, what you've worked on, you're going to really see all of that coming together even more. With this fire horse, you're going to want to really express yourself a lot more. It's huge transformational time, fire, rebirth, transformation. You're going to want more freedom. You're really going to be moving quickly. You're going to be like, you know what? I'm moving away changing jobs. You're going to be decluttering a lot of your things. And it's really important to watch burnout, burning out. We have to balance that time for resting. So the energy holds a lot of optimism. You're going to find that you're going to be a lot more creative during this time. You're going to see that you're going to be more passionate, especially pay attention to your projects that you're working on, what you're truly, truly drawn towards. I've been talking about that for a while. And you're going to start reclaiming what you felt that you've lost. Geez, I've lost this and this has come up. It's like those rising ashes from dust to dust from 2025. You're going to see it start exploding in 2026. So whenever you get that little idea, you want to do this, you want to change that, really start doing that. You're going to be really letting go of certain people, even more in situations where you're like, I don't see anything working out anymore. This just is not working. So let that go, because you're going to be moving into something new, because there's going to be a lot of structural changes. There's going to be breakdowns. However, as you're building, there's going to be a lot more things being exposed over even more and more. Stop giving chances to the wrong people. Like, enough. You know what I mean? We've seen that with relationships, with our jobs, business, like whatever it is. Just stop doing it. Stop doing it. End it. Ask yourself, what are you scared of? Like, what are you scared of if you end something? For old doors closing, new doors open. We're in a universal 1 year. Universal 1 year with the fire horse. Oh my gosh. New beginnings. Leadership changes. People are standing up. You're also going to be seeing changes in the royal family. There could be a death in the royal family. There's going to be another death with another leadership. Even Trump's health is declining. You're going to see his ratings are declining as well. We're going to see more. He's going to see more legal problems, health problems, impeachment, where it's going to come down to, as I don't want to take you too far, but 2026, 2027, and so on, he very well might resign from his position altogether. So he's going to be told you can't deport millions of people. You cannot do that. So a lot of problems legally are going to be coming up. Right there, boom, right there, that. I've had people like, oh my God, I'm seeing all these weird things going on, Jenny. Right? Circle November 2026. Do you ever see the movie E.T.? Do you ever see the movie Close Encounters of the Third Kind? November, you very well are going to have like, oh my gosh, you very well could actually see that spaceship, UFOs. A lot more is going to be exploded in that area. A lot of uncovered things, conspiracy theories, there they are. So this is the time even more to focus on wealth and your health. Your health is going to turn into your number one wealth. So whatever health issues that you've been dealing with, resolve it, work on it. Very, very important. More solar flares. I always talk about, like in my series, my Cosmic Live series, solar flares and so on, about what's going on energetically wise and so on. The solar flares are so powerful. Solar storms, they create earthquakes. They knock things up. They bring planes down, right? Like take a look at even like Bermuda Triangle and all of that. There's a lot of energy, different portals around the world. Why do you think all of a sudden planes go missing and so on? It gets pulled down by different vortexes. There's going to be a lot more talk on that as well. So you're going to find like data entry, clerical jobs, retail, cashiers, old school marketing. That's changing because of AI. There's something that, I've even brought up, like I can't use AI for my business. I'm a clairvoyant psychic medium. I can't tell AI, can you read into that person? Of course not. So it just depends what you're working on. because there's going to be a lot of warfares going on as well. A lot of energy demands and surges across Asia. There's going to be more seismic activity going on Pacific, Philippines. I've talked about this for quite some time. Waters are rising. Earthquakes very well could be coming around like north of India, northeast of India, Mexico, Brazil, Central America. So hurricanes around there, wildfires, and so on. You know what I mean? So really listen to your intuition because you're going to find it's going to get a lot more stronger. Really listen to that. There's going to be investors that are going to be walking away even more and more and more. I don't invest my money into any crypto or any of that. I mean, that's just myself. That's just myself. Because you're going to see a lot of things crashing. So circle that and really listen to your intuition. Don't be jumping in right away to things. There's going to be some fluctuations with silver energy, with gold. That's all changing. The Asian currency will strengthen in this demand right now. You're also going to see there's a lot more ocean turbulence. I've been talking about the water for quite some time. I'm also an animal communicator, and I talk to the animals in the water and so on. I just call them all animals, and pay attention to how many animals like whales and seals and washed up the shore suddenly. There's a lot of activity that's been going under the waters for quite some time that's causing this, causing that, causing cracks, causing this, causing that. There's going to be more explosions and heat waves, changes, eclipses coming closer to Earth. And there's one thing with that as well. Not to go into too much details, when it comes down to like extraterrestrials, yes, there's going to be a lot more information coming out more and more and more about that. So certain things like comments and such, comments that wants to strike Earth, they'll actually set a fire and knock that off to try to protect us as well. So I'm not going to talk about all of that here on what is going on. You're also going to see like the inflation in food going up in Canada. The people are going to standing up. We've had enough of the government here, but the government is shady. There's no so-called leaders. I've talked about that forever. However, in Canada, people are, we're getting more inflation with food. It's just in craziness expensive. They're not paying attention to the people of Canada. They're too busy doing this and this and this otherwise. The people are suffering. That's all over. Like, don't get me wrong. You know what I mean? We can see it. The housing prices, this is crazy, that's crazy, but it's going to be crashing. You will start to see that the cost of like real estate, that's all changing. Rents, like, oh my God, are you crazy? That's crazy amount of rent for that. That's all crashing. People can't do it anymore. So there's going to be more riots, more riots. People are really going to stand up for themselves. They're going to be like, you know what? Enough. Really pay attention to past karmic lessons because that's going to be coming back. We all have lessons to learn. That's part of life. And it really comes down to what did you learn from that? What did you learn from certain things? What was removed in 2025 doesn't want to come into 2026. That was the year of the snake. That was Universal 9 year, which was about endings. That was about, completion, healing with the snake energy, rebirth, transformation, which would have been deaths, endings, relationships, friendships, business, jobs, all of that. So really pay attention who you're not connecting with. As I always say, when you let go of the wrong people, the right people will come in. Stop giving people chances when they're not doing what they say they're going to be doing for you. Like, enough. I'm making changes myself. And this horse energy, will give you more clarity with the direction that you're going to want to move forward to. You know, really keep focusing on long-term goals, because you're going to be taking more bold action. You're going to be taking more risks with things. I mean, I always walk into the unknown myself. I'm a risk taker to a certain degree. No, I don't invest with currencies and all of that kind of stuff, because there's too much of this up and down, up and down, up and down. You know, you're going to only want to be more connected with authenticity, authentic, authentic people, as I call it. You know, there's going to be certain more exposures with celebrities coming out, the ugliness about it, more exposure, more truth coming out. You know, you'll also see some changes with, you know, even Telsa with Elon Musk. He's very well aware, and as we know, involved with the space and so many different things. However, he's going to be stepping back from Dodge, not 100%. He'll still be a part of that, you know, but there's going to be some losses with Telsa from the October towards the end of this year till February 2027. So that's going to start to change as well. You know, they're looking at 2027, 2027, 8 impeachment. There's changes big time with leadership, death with leadership coming literally in 2026. A lot of endings and closures with past connections. You know, whenever I've had to end a relationship with someone, friendship, business, job, like no matter who it is, I always wish that person the best. Always do, no matter what happens. You know, we're just on two different paths right now. And you know what? It just didn't work. And our soul contracts are now at an end. It's time for me to walk a different direction, a different way. You're also going to find that more communities are going to be coming together, even more supportive. Have you noticed that? Like, have you really noticed that? More communities are coming together. Even today, when I was out and about and such like that, and you know, the ladies says, "Do you want to make a donation?" And I says, "You know what, I do offer, you know, my services free at certain times, going on YouTube, or I have a group on Facebook. I give free readings, or, you know, I'll make some food and I'll give it to my neighbor, or so on and so on." You know what I mean? And just different kindness. We still have to show people kindness and support, because you truly don't know what that person is going through. We've all been through enough. How many of you have been through enough? Like all of us, right? All of us. So you're going to be setting more boundaries this year as well. So you might even make a huge beauty transformation. So, you know, you very well could color your hair the opposite direction, completely cut it right off, cut it off. Huge makeover with your appearance. You're going to be like, you know, I want to do this, I want to do that. You're going to be prioritizing yourself more. You know, we have to prioritize ourselves, put ourselves back together. It's like being on the plane, you know, the stewardess or whatever is doing that. They always tell you, okay, if there's any problems, make sure that you guys put your mask on first and flotation devices first before you help the person beside you or somebody else. So this is what it's coming down to this year. You have to work on yourself first, help yourself first before you can really help somebody else, because you're going to see a lot more reality versus fantasy and illusions. You know, there's going to be more exposures coming with weak foundations, with the global health. Global health is going to be exposed more. All of these so-called vaccines and medicines are going to be shown even more for what it truly is. Public safety is going to be under structure even more. So it can cause a lot of problems. It can cause a lot of fear, all of that. So that's why I'm saying continue really working on your health, and that you're also going to be standing more in your truth, standing up for yourself, you know, especially if you're like, geez, I'd really like to talk to my boss to get a raise, or I'd really like to have had enough with this or enough with that, how I'm getting treated. You're going to start standing up for yourself even more, right? Boom, confront that person, but don't like go like that. Make sure you're calm and have that conversation with that person, you know. So speak from your heart, and you're going to see a lot more clarity, as I mentioned, with the direction that you're going to go in even more. January and February, as we move into that, we still have the leftovers from 2026. So it still gives you that opportunity to really work on that, even more so and more so. So January, it's going to be like more communication, more, I need to do this, I need to do that. We're mid-year August, it's going to be more like about more healing, more transformational energy harmony, working more on more financial planning, and so on. There's going to be a lot more situations coming down to traditional healing compared to Eastern medicine, compared to Western medicine. We both need the Eastern medicine and the Western medicine. You'll find that the Eastern medicines just don't want to be involved with the Western medicine anymore. They're like, we've had enough. We know what's really going into this. Like we need our doctors, yes, and we need our Eastern doctors as well. So they're also going to be making even mental health more of a priority in 2026 as well. Look what's happened. Look at the everything that's really come out and been exposed more and more and more and more. It's created a lot more mental health issues in society because we're seeing more truth being exposed, right? So you might even find in July there's going to be a lot more conflicts with things. And as the water starts rising, you're even going to see 2030, the year 2030, islands are going to be gone. There's going to be certain islands that are going to be gone. Not going to go too far off. Don't like to go too far off, right? So, we're April and such like that. You could find that you're a lot more creative. Really pay attention, as I mentioned, to like what you're really drawn to as far as being of service. Like even certain people you've already made certain changes of. Once upon a time, I was a lawyer. Now I'm being more of service, with humanity, in righteousness, with this or that, rather than that area. So you're going to see that that's even going to start changing even more and more and more. So, even more like even in India, you're going to hear more about like global space, as I mentioned, more exploration coming out in that. And that's going to expand and expand and expand. I've wanted a telescope for a long time, right? So who knows? Maybe it'll be the time when I get a telescope in 2026, right? So just hang on there. Like, this is going to be the time when you're not going to be ignoring your dreams anymore. Well, what if I can't? Just go for it? Do your vision board, write down, be very specific, be very detailed what you want to have. Don't worry about how you're going to create that. Like there's going to be a lot of global supply chain vulnerabilities resurfacing. Pharma, biotech industries are going to be undergoing a lot of restructuring because a lot of things are going to be breaking down, even more so and more so. Cybersecurity is going to be on very high demand. Like that area there, that's a job that will continue on forever, right? All of that kind of stuff. Renew energy, solar, wind, green tech boom is going to come out even more and more and more. That's going on and expanding in such a really big way. Digital payments. It's going to be hard. Even today, whenever I had to go to the store, I'm like, do you take cash? Right? I love cash. So certain exposes are going to be exposed more with shortcuts. fake success, people that are faking it, it's going to be exposed. So if your business is fake or if you're doing things that are not authentic, it's going to be removed. It's the mask is going to come off. That's going to be shown, you know. So as we're rebuilding what was weak and unstable, you're going to see these changes even more so after April, May, even more so, I would say. So it's important to resolve things right now because what you haven't resolved yet, it's coming back full force. So the fire horse pushes things. You know, they go, 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 go. So if you're ignoring things, putting it under the rug, it's going to come back full force. You're going to be like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. You know, there's going to be more investments with medical innovations. And there very well could be like a new disease tracking system. There are cures for cancer. You know, I've talked about that for quite some time. You know, and that very well will start coming out even more and more, especially lung cancer. Um, been a there's been a there's there's curable things. That's all I'm going to say. You know, how many of you have had to run to the doctor 100 different times? And it's like, wow, I taught this doctor this, they didn't do this. I went here, that doctor didn't do that. All I'm wanting to is just to do this. And they send you to 101 other doctors, and they're like, come on, come on, right? So, for those of you who are wanting to relocate in 2026, make sure you be very specific and detailed. Do your research, really do your research of where do I want to go? Look into everything that's involved with that altogether. You know, and I'm also hearing the Himalayans again. They're very, you know, like the earthquakes, Pacific Himalayan. I love the Himalayans. I've always called the Himalayan mountains my mountains. So we're going to be seeing that more and more and more and more. Even today, you know, there's like an earthquake, like Japan, and so on and so on. I've been talking about that for quite some time, quite some time. So, you know, just really hang in there because as we get after the spring, depending what part of the world you're on, you are going to see, boom, oh my God, this is a huge difference. This is a really, really big difference. Like, oh my gosh. So even I've been decluttering again, like you'd never know it. So you're going to continue to declutter and certain things like that. And, you know, just always show love and kindness to everybody else. You know what I mean? And try not to freak out so much about like AI. Just really learn a little bit more about it as much as you can. You know, like even AI is going to be taking over delivery. Like what? Yeah, drones, automation, all of that kind of stuff. It's really, really going to make a really, really big difference. You know, like even the major global negotiations, that's going to collapse, like big time. Energy demands, all of these things are going to go on. You know, so just really watch your money right now, because like I'm saying, the currency is going to be like this, you know, and make your immune system a priority because your hormones connected with stress, immunity, it really throws things right out, right? I mean, I love acupuncture myself. And, you know, it's a really good way to balance the chi and the chai, as I call it, the chi and the chai. So make sure you're, you know, like really reinvesting in yourself. You're going to be awakening more spiritually. You're going to be finding more of your true purpose. Well, Jenny, what should I be doing? Like, what's going on with me? What are you drawn to? What are you truly passionate about? You know, are you really happy with the career you're doing? You know, what are you drawn towards? What are you drawn towards? Really go for that. Start educating yourself even more. because you're not going to be ignoring what's just not working anymore, right? Like, it's just like, this just isn't working for me anymore. I'm not getting anywhere. It's just pay attention to that. There's nothing wrong with giving something a try. Whenever we take risks, not all things will work out. However, at least you know that, what? I gave it a go. I gave it a go. I gave it a go. Wow, that really worked out. Or boy, that didn't work out so much. That's how you know that's how you really see that. So you're going to be really letting go of even more of your emotions, even more that have been keeping you really stuck, right? That fire horse will poof, that'll clear out the fire right away. It's going to heat things up. When it starts to heat things up, what happens? Drink more water. I always say drink more water. The solar flares are so powerful. Solar storms create earthquakes. Solar storms disrupts everything on our planet, humans, animals, everything. More deaths can happen during a solar storm, solar flares, and so on. So, just things that will calm down, but we just really got to be there for each other. Like I've been even seeing, certain friends that I haven't seen for years and years and years. It's like something tells me I should see them, or, more of that kind of family connection of all of these things. There's going to be more like Atlantic storms coming. There's going to like Central America, wildfires, fires and heat, Australia, California, Southern Europe. So learn new things that you're drawn to. Like I'm learning new things myself. I'm always multitasking when I choose, working on a lot of different projects at the same time. But I'm learning new things. I'm learning how to do things more so on my own and such like that because I have to. It's just me, myself, and I, right? So it's like, what do I need to learn? What do you want to learn? Really pay attention to your dreams because you're really going to get shown a lot more from the spirit world of what's to come. A lot more. How many of you have sat back and say, wow, I just had this powerful dream and oh my gosh, that actually happened. When you have your, people who have passed on coming through in your dreams, that's actually them. So you might even actually start having that even more and more and more coming through. They're trying to help you. They're trying to help you on your road, but I don't see that, Jenny. So, it's how we go about things, right? We're not going backwards. We're moving forward. And that can be scary for some people because some people don't like change. Too many, you'll also see that, like, because of AI taking over, people aren't going to like how fast things are moving. Like, you're going to be like, you know what? That's crazy. Things are moving too fast. Things are like just too heavy now. It's like technology is just pushing too fast, too far. We have to have that time to adapt to things because if we go too fast, it can crash just as quickly. Of course it will. So hang in there, you guys. Hang in there. You can always book a reading with me, soulworkwithjenny.com, and I can give you my personal insights into what I see for you specifically, because I'm a clairvoyant psychic medium. So this is going to be when you're going to face some fears even more. So, it's like nobody likes to push things too fast, but you're going to find that you are going to push some limits within yourself. I got to face that fear. The only way out of this situation is for me to face my fear, is to deal with it. There's new diseases coming in that were created. How all of a sudden do you think that, the governments and so on would know about this disease coming out and that disease? Like, come on, really? It's all pre-planned. Everything is pre-planned. It's like the government, it's all pre-planned. Okay, so I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. You play the bad boy, but in this month and that time, then you can play the good guy, and then we can look like heroes, and so on and so on and so on and so on. Right? It's all rooted all back into that. So it's going to be coming out more and more and more and more and more. So there's going to be a lot of fashion pressure too, consumer pressure, a lot more fatigue with things because we're exhausted. We're just exhausted of too much, too much. So hang in there, you guys. And, make sure that you subscribe to my channel. Make some comments. Let me know what's going on with you. I'm on Instagram, Jenny G. Cousins. You want to book a reading, soulworkwithjenny.com. Join me on Facebook on my group, Higher Vibes with Jenny G. Cousins, and I'll add you on. I'll put stuff on there that's not so much on social media as much. Um, but I'm all over the place, mind you. So focus on you, start setting your vision boards now. Make some long-term goals, be very specific, be very to the point. I'm creating classes as well for you. So reach out to me, you know what I mean? And then I'll be putting them out in time. And so on. 2026, they're all going out and everything like that. I'm making a lot of different changes. So, even real estate, like I'm saying, like a high debt, low demand, it's all going to correct itself, right? We buy a property for that price, and I'm like, are you kidding me? Are you seriously kidding me for that? We've all seen it. Like, that's insane. Thank you to the government to that. But don't get me going on that. You know how I feel. So thank you for watching my channel, everyone. Make sure you subscribe to it. I get a lot of insights coming. I channel a lot of information from the universe, and a lot of times I'll see different things. I can see things coming up for many more years to come, but we're basically talking right here about 2026, what's coming on. Like volcanoes erupting, so on and so on and so on and so on. Second half of the year, boom, we're really going to get that rude awakening of the whole new world coming in, which can be really exciting, And for other people, it's like, I've had enough. It's too fast, it's too quick, it's too demanding. So hang in there, guys. So namaste. Make sure that you subscribe to my channel. I've got a bunch of interviews. I've interviewed people here for many, many, many years. You can check that out. And I'll talk to you all later. Namaste.